The Milwaukee Bucks were maybe the worst team in basketball last year, and now suddenly they're in the NBA playoffs. Jason Kidd, the wiry, foolish veteran that he is, called a timeout with a second left on the clock and got them a win against Chicago the other night. What do you think of these Bucks team right now?
You got me excited now. The Bucks are my team. They're my league pass team this year. I love what Jason Kidd is doing with this team. Jason Kidd understands matchups, and he goes with mismatched all the time. Those kids are all 6'6" and over. They can switch on everything on defense. Jabari's hurt. Jabari's not even on the team. They have full potential. I can't wait to see them in a few years.
Phil, one of the big things is length. I mean, you love the statistic about these. How are these guys different than most NBA teams?
I mean, as you're saying, the size difference, right? You look at the Greek Freak. I mean, they say 6'9". I'm sure he's closer to 7 at this point. John Henson, absolutely huge, and they're playing without some of their big guys. I mean, at a point guard, Michael Carter-Williams at 6'6", having Chris Middleton 6'7", being a 2 or a 3, probably a 2 next to Greek Freak, who can slide, obviously. You know, they have O.J. Mayo off the bench, and one of my favorite bench guys for a while, Jared Bayless. He's the one who hit that shot, but he's been making noise for years. You know, with the Grizzlies, he was a nice playoff contributor. He's not necessarily a starter, but he's one of those great bench scorers, 6'3", athletic, can shoot, has a really good heat check kind of bit to him. And when you look at that team, I mean, what they're really lacking to me is consistent scoring. Had Jabari Parker not gone down, we'd be talking about a very different team. This is a team that's fun to watch, plays defense, young. And this is a perfect situation for Jason Kidd. I thought when he was thrown into the Brooklyn situation, kind of like the David Blatt, it's tough with all these expectations right away. When
he thrust that situation on himself, though. It's a different situation.
Yes. Well, fair enough. But I mean, in this situation, there were no real expectations. I think most people were a little bit surprised the Bucks did as well as they did. And you know, they're having a tough time. But this is where the young guys are going to cut their teeth. And I think Jason Kidd deserves a lot of credit. And they're definitely my surprise.
He was one of the runner-ups for Coach of the Year. For a guy in his second year coaching, it's pretty impressive. As everyone's mentioned, Jabari Parker injured this year. What do you think of his upside versus, say, like an Andrew Wiggins? It's tough to tell because he hasn't played much.
It's tough to tell. He's been compared to Melo a lot. I see a lot of Glenn Robinson in him.
Right,
and
big dog.
That's it, right? We could play him at Milwaukee, right? And they can play him at the 4. I think power forward's mostly his position. And on that team, it's the sky's the limit. Like you said, we'll be able to move around Greek Freak everywhere on the court. I hope they re-sign Middleton this summer. And
he's one of my favorite players in that team. A solid 3-and-D guy, really coming into his own.
Can shoot the ball, and imagine if Larry Sanders was still on that team. They were long. It's insane.
Well, I think that was the point, right? They would have Larry Sanders and Greek Freak play defense to kind of conceal anything that Jabari Parker couldn't do on the defensive end, and then Jabari would be that front court point getter.
And that has to be contagious. I mean, Jabari's going to pick up those defensive concepts playing with these guys.